Chosen one, those who calculated your destruction failed to account for your resilience. While you are healing and growing, the collective that sought to bury you is facing a divine and legal reckoning. The reality is that this group of people are going down in flames for bullying you. Someone is teaching them a big lesson. Every situation has a turning point, a moment where the aggressor makes the decision that eventually seals their outcome. For this group, that moment arrived early, so early that they did not even recognize it as a mistake at the time. The mistake was choosing you. Back in the early days of online spaces, forums, group chats, platforms where people typed behind a screen and believed that anonymity made them untouchable, someone found you in a space like that. That person noticed what you were doing, noticed the way you moved, noticed that ease, that natural gift, that ability to show up and draw genuine attention without chasing it. And instead of respecting what they saw, that person decided to study you, to catalog what made you effective, to figure out how to use it against you. That was the first error, because you cannot study a chosen one without eventually being undone by what you find. It started with one person, then it became a conversation, then it became a group, a private circle that made your existence their ongoing project. Your name appeared in conversations you were never invited to join. Your every post, your every win, your every client interaction was being analyzed and picked apart, not to learn from you, to find the weakness that would allow them to neutralize you. They needed you to be small, not wanted, needed. There is a critical difference between those two words. Wanting something is about desire. Needing something is about survival. What your continued visibility and growth represented to that group was a direct threat to their own sense of survival. As long as you were rising, their own stagnation became impossible to ignore. Your presence held up a mirror to everything they had refused to build and everything they had refused to become. They could not face that mirror, so they decided to shatter you instead. But here is what they discovered when they began searching for your weakness. You did not have the kind of crack they were looking for. Not because you are invulnerable, but because the very things they identified as your soft spots, your care for your work, your community, your reputation, were actually your anchors. Every time they pulled on those roots expecting to uproot you, they drove you deeper into the ground. They were watering you while trying to poison you, and they never figured that out. Keep that in mind. It explains everything that comes next. This is where the situation stopped being one jealous observer and became something far more organized. The group did not stay small. You were too resilient for one person to handle alone. Every time a hit landed, you absorbed it and kept moving. Every time pressure was applied, you wobbled but held your ground. So the operation expanded. More people were recruited. A clear structure emerged, with a leader, with assigned roles, with coordinated timing, all of it focused on one target, you. Every single time they escalated, it was because you had refused to break at the previous level. You were never the problem. You were the proof that they had underestimated what they were dealing with, and that the plan had a flaw built into it from the very beginning. That flaw was you. Every time you held instead of cracking, they poured more resources into the campaign, more people, more tactics, more carefully coordinated pressure. They kept raising the stakes, and you kept surviving every raise. Hold on to that. It becomes important very soon. At the center of this operation sat the leader, a calculating, cold, deeply bitter force that ran the entire show. This was someone whose own business was failing, someone who understood that every step you took forward made their own stagnation more visible and more undeniable. So this person became the architect, the one who issued the directions, the one who decided what happened next and when. And the people around the leader followed, because people in these kinds of arrangements will always follow someone who projects certainty, even when that certainty is built on nothing but spite. Fake profiles were created specifically to get close to you and gather intelligence. Private groups treated your name like a problem to be solved. Coordinated reviews chipped away at your credibility every time your momentum started building. Whisper campaigns traveled into spaces where your reputation was growing, planting doubt before you even had a chance to speak for yourself. Fake job offers arrived. Manufactured opportunities appeared. Links designed to look like open doors were engineered to trap you instead. Outreach crafted to look professional was carrying something darker on the inside. This was not online drama. This was not a conflict that escalated out of proportion. This was a coordinated, sustained, deliberately maintained campaign, and it consumed real resources to keep running. Real time, real money, real energy. If this message awakens something within you, hype this video for other chosen ones who need to hear this. Every unit of attention poured into burying you was a unit of attention taken away from building anything real of their own. Every session spent plotting your next obstacle was a session not spent improving their product, serving their clients, or growing their craft. They chose your destruction over their own development, and they made that choice every single time. Beyond that, they tried to get close, virtually close. People were sent in pretending to be collaborators, admirers, and community members who just happened to discover you at the perfectly right moment. These were not genuine connections. These were entry points designed to extract information you would only share with someone you trusted, or to manufacture a situation that could be screenshotted and weaponized. Some of those contacts directed you toward links and opportunities that were not what they appeared to be. Your instincts fired before you stepped into some of those traps. That gut instinct protected you, and the behavior behind some of those contacts crossed from bullying into territory that authorities have a very specific name for, with documented consequences attached. That detail is already part of what is being officially recorded. While the group was coordinating against you, while private decisions were being made about what to do next, who to target and how to execute, there was someone inside that circle who was becoming increasingly disturbed by what they were watching unfold. This is the insider, and this person changes the entire outcome of this situation, not a peripheral figure, not someone observing from a comfortable distance. Someone who was fully present, who sat in the group conversations, heard the plans being made, and watched the tactics being deployed in real time. Someone who had carried a long, genuine loyalty to the person at the center of all of this. The kind of loyalty that makes a person look the other way for a while, even when what they are witnessing is deeply wrong. But there is always a line, and everyone who still carries a conscience eventually reaches it. The insider reached that line. Maybe it was one specific moment, watching something particularly cruel get executed, and realizing that what had been framed as harmless venting was actually organized harm, aimed at someone who had done nothing to deserve it. Maybe the real-world consequences became visible in a way that could no longer be rationalized away. Whatever the specific moment was, a decision got made. The collecting began, quietly, without dramatic announcements, without a visible exit, just methodical, careful documentation, screenshots, records of planning conversations, names attached to fake accounts, records of sessions where specific decisions were made about specific actions aimed directly at you. A clear log of who proposed what, who agreed to it, who carried it out, and how long the operation had been running. That kind of documentation is not gossip. It is a complete record, and a complete record delivered to the right authority is worth more than any number of witnesses who only saw fragments of what happened. The insider did not see fragments. The insider was inside the architecture of the entire operation. That account cannot be dismissed as coming from someone with a rival agenda, because the insider was on the same side as the people now being exposed. Testimony driven by conscience, backed by documentation, from someone with direct and sustained access, is among the most powerful things that can enter an official process. The process is now moving, and the group has no idea it started from the inside. You've probably noticed a lot of Chosen One channels on YouTube have stopped publishing, videos pulled, voices silenced. The mainstream media is cracking down on us, but we will not give up our voice. That's exactly why I'm putting you onto something real, Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching Chosen Ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation and attacks, while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. Join Destiny Engine to support your favorite channels and use it for your own rise. It's a 360 win. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. Before we arrive at the fire, let's look closely at the fuel. Understanding exactly why this happened gives you something genuinely powerful, the ability to recognize this pattern clearly if it ever attempts to form around you again. The people who came against you were not powerful. That is the version of events they constructed for themselves, but it does not reflect what was actually happening. Powerful people do not organize sustained campaigns against individuals who have done nothing to them. What was actually in motion here is straightforward. Stagnant people watched you move forward and panicked. The leader had built something, had real ambitions, had a vision for a particular kind of life, and for a period it seemed to be working. Momentum felt genuine. Then you appeared in the same space, and without any aggressive action on your part, the momentum shifted toward you. Your gift was more natural. Your output landed more authentically. The people in your space responded to you with real engagement. Opportunities found you. Your community grew organically, and with every good thing that moved in your direction, something hollowed out on the other side. That hollowing out is where the obsession was born, not from hatred, from fear. Fear that the life the leader had assembled was being displaced. Fear that the space was not large enough for both of you. Fear that your continued growth would eventually leave nothing for them. This is the poverty mindset at its most dangerous. Not poverty of money, but poverty of vision. A deep fundamental inability to imagine a world in which more than one person gets to win. So instead of choosing to expand, to learn, to confront their own inadequacy honestly, they chose to pour everything into making you fail. And while they were running that campaign against you, their own enterprise deteriorated, their clients drifted, their credibility developed cracks that had nothing to do with you and everything to do with neglect. Their momentum went flat. You simply cannot sustain a business and simultaneously run a coordinated destruction campaign against another person. The focused attention required to do one properly makes the other impossible. There is one more layer that deserves naming here. The leader deliberately used the people around them as a buffer between their own direct involvement and the most visible evidence. Directions were given, but the execution was handled by others. This was intentional. It was designed to create deniability. If accountability ever arrived, the leader could point to those below and claim distance from the specifics. But the insider was present when directions were being given, not only when directions were being carried out. The full chain of command is documented. That buffer strategy cannot hold. You handled this with a level of composure that was never accounted for in their plan, and that composure cost them everything. The entire operation rested on a single assumption that you would break, that eventually the sustained pressure would push you to react publicly, to say something, to post something, to retaliate in a way that could be pointed to as evidence of the character they needed you to have. Your reaction was not just wanted, It was the entire endgame. Every move in the campaign was engineered to produce that one moment of visible public breakdown. You never gave it to them. Not because you did not feel the hits. You felt every single one of them. There were nights that cost you sleep. There were stretches where your confidence took real damage. There were periods when you went quiet, stayed off platforms, and pulled back, not because you were beaten, but because you were making careful choices about your battles. But you never broke publicly. You never handed them the spectacle they had worked so hard to manufacture. That restraint became the weapon they never planned to face. Every time the expected explosion arrived as silence, it destabilized the operation from the inside. Every time breakdown was anticipated and a comeback appeared instead, the collective confidence of the group fractured a little more. Every time you showed up again after they assumed you had finally quit for good, it confirmed their deepest fear that they had chosen a target they could not actually destroy. The group began eating itself before any outside investigation ever touched it. The leader grew increasingly erratic. The people who had been following directions started questioning whether the plan was producing anything real. Paranoia set in quickly, because paranoia always moves fast inside groups that are built entirely on secrecy. Every person involved had something to protect. Every participant had contributed to something they could never own in public. So as collective confidence declined, every individual in the group became a potential threat to every other individual. Internal trust dissolved completely. Private conversations started happening that the leader had not approved. People began quietly calculating what their personal exposure would look like if the whole operation came apart. And when they examined the operation honestly, what it had actually produced, what the original goal had ever truly been, what they found underneath it all was spite, dressed up as strategy. There had never been a real plan for what happened after you were gone. There was only the obsession with removing you, and when removal did not happen, there was nothing left to hold the structure together. Your refusal to dissolve dried out the only glue they ever had. You did not destroy them, you simply refused to disappear, and that was enough. Every time you showed up after an attack, every time you posted, published, served a client, or simply remained visible, the people in your space noticed, not just the ones trying to harm you. The people who genuinely support you noticed too. They watched you continue under conditions they did not fully understand, but could feel. What that built inside them was not just loyalty, it was conviction. The kind of conviction that makes someone defend you in a conversation you were never part of, recommend you to someone they trust, or quietly decide that regardless of what anyone claims about you, the evidence of who you are is right there in how you keep showing up. Your consistency under pressure became its own form of public record. You did not have to say a single word in your own defense. Your presence said everything that needed to be said. This is the moment everything has been building toward. The insider is not waiting anymore. Everything that was quietly documented over time, the conversation records, the names behind fake accounts, the evidence of planning sessions, the detailed timeline of coordinated decisions made specifically against you, is already in motion. It is already in the hands of people with the authority and expertise to act on it. The official process has started. Not loudly, not publicly, with the kind of institutional weight that moves deliberately but cannot be stopped once it is in motion. What was handed over was not a folder of screenshots showing unkind comments. What was handed over was a complete case, a documented, organized, corroborated record of deliberate, escalating, coordinated conduct that names individuals, establishes timelines, and demonstrates clear intent. The leader's name sits at the top of that record, not hidden behind a fake account, not obscured behind the people who carried out the visible work, named, documented, accountable. What this group did crosses legal lines that carry specific names and specific consequences. Coordinated defamation sustained over a significant period of time, targeted harassment, attempted financial interference, identity deception, the creation and maintenance of fake profiles used to conduct operations against a specific individual. The fraudulent outreach and the engineered traps qualify as criminal conduct in many legal systems, not civil matters, criminal ones. Nothing digital disappears. Every fake account carries a traceable signature. Every email that was sent passed through servers that log origin data. Every coordinated post has a timestamp and a point of origin. Every IP address connects to a real physical location and a real identity. Deleting content does not remove evidence. It relocates evidence to a cache, a backup, or a server log that exists at a level the group cannot access or erase. The digital footprint left behind while celebrating every small hit against you is enormous. It is being followed right now, methodically from the outside, while the insider's first-hand account fills in everything the digital record alone cannot show. Your own records matter in this context too. The strange contacts, the fake-feeling outreach, the coordinated negativity aimed at your work, what you have kept connects directly to what is already being built on the official side. Do not delete anything, keep it organized. Your documentation makes the existing case stronger. You need to understand what collapse looks like from the inside of a group like this. It does not arrive all at once. It begins as a feeling, a collective unease that nobody names out loud, but that every person in the group starts carrying at the same time. Decisions that once felt bold start feeling risky. Coordination that once felt smooth starts feeling complicated and exposed. The leader who once projected absolute certainty starts projecting something that looks far more like defensiveness and paranoia, and the people around the leader notice that shift immediately. In these kinds of arrangements, conditional loyalty evaporates the moment confidence does. The moment the cost of participation begins to outweigh any perceived benefit, every participant starts calculating an exit. But exits from a coordinated harassment campaign are not clean. You cannot quietly step away from something like this without your own fingerprints remaining on the evidence. Every participant is implicated by the same records that implicate the leader. There is no clean path out. And that realization, spreading through the group one person at a time, accelerates the fracturing. The relationships that held the inner circle together are souring under the pressure of shared fear. When people are genuinely scared, they stop protecting each other and start protecting only themselves. The unified front that appeared so solid from the outside is now a collection of individuals separately calculating their own exposure. The mission that was supposed to keep everyone aligned has collapsed because that mission was always just one thing, and that one thing was you. And you are still standing. Everything they aimed at you has circled back to live inside their operation. The chaos, the instability, the constant sense that the ground could give way, that experience now belongs to them, not to you. The business that was supposed to benefit from your removal is failing. The clients who were supposed to redirect toward the leader once you were eliminated did not come. The market position that was supposed to open up once your reputation was sufficiently damaged did not materialize. The financial windfall imagined on the other side of your destruction never arrived, because that is simply not how any of this works. Resources invested in destroying someone else's work do not convert into prosperity. Every unit of time, energy and money poured into running a harassment campaign is a unit not spent improving a product, serving existing clients, or building something capable of generating real returns. The choice the leader made, destruction over development, obsession over craft, produced exactly the outcome that choice always produces. The business deteriorated in the background while the attacks against you were being coordinated. Credibility developed its own independent cracks, driven entirely by the neglect of the things that actually sustain a business over time, and now a legal process is forming that carries its own substantial financial consequences. Legal proceedings require money. Civil liability is real and documented. The kind of financial exposure that accumulates from sustained, organized, recorded harmful behavior is not a minor inconvenience. It is the kind of financial reality that redefines a future. What was spent trying to drain you represents a fraction of what is about to be required of them. That is the ledger, and it is settling now. When the walls close in on people like this, the response is never genuine retreat. Retreat requires a level of humility that was never part of this profile. The response is tactical. Something gets engineered to look like resolution, like goodwill, like an outstretched hand, like a sincere desire to end the conflict. But the real purpose is to create one more point of access before everything collapses. You may receive something, a message that sounds conciliatory, an opportunity that arrives at a suspiciously convenient moment, an unexpected gift, warm outreach from someone in the circle who frames it as personal and genuine. Do not engage with any of it outside of official documented channels. Not because maintaining a combat posture serves you, it does not, but because you are winning without engaging. And any engagement, even brief engagement, is the one thing that could complicate your position at exactly the moment the official process is moving most powerfully in your favor. There is also a dimension to this situation that involves people closer to you than strangers on the internet. Some of what was aimed at you came from directions that should have been safe, from people whose close connection meant they knew precisely which angles would cause the most damage, because they had access to information that no outside stranger could have obtained. That proximity made certain attacks far more precise and far more painful than anything that came from outside the immediate circle. That close-range dimension is not invisible to the investigation. The evidence trail does not stop at the outer edge of the operation. It follows the documented behavior wherever it leads, and the financial motive woven throughout all of it, the desire to undermine your income, compromise your stability, and position others to benefit from your decline, is clearly visible in the pattern of when the attacks escalated, what they targeted, and how closely the timing tracked your wins and your opportunities. Keep every record you have. Keep every strange contact, every message that felt wrong, every unsolicited link, every approach that made your instincts tighten. Do not respond to any of it. Do not delete any of it. Document it. What you have already kept connects to what is being built right now on the official side of this situation. There is also something important to understand about what staying clean actually produces beyond the legal context. When you move through this without retaliating, without leaking information, without performing the kind of public outrage that would make great content but weaken your position, you protect something more valuable than your case. You protect your character. And your character, at this stage of what you are building, is a serious asset. The people who are about to align with you, invest in you, and trust you with their attention are watching how you carry yourself under pressure. Every day you choose discipline over drama. You are demonstrating exactly the kind of leadership that commands long-term respect. What looks like restraint from the outside is actually the most deliberate, strategic move you could be making right now. Your abundance was never cancelled. It was delayed. Those are not the same thing. Cancelled means it is gone. Delayed means it is still in motion. It simply took a longer route because someone kept trying to block the most direct path. Consider what happens when a river gets dammed. The water does not disappear. It accumulates. It builds pressure. It finds another channel. And when it finally breaks through, it moves with far more force than it would have carried if it had flowed freely from the beginning. Every attempt to block what was meant for you built more pressure behind it. The connections arriving now are more aligned than the ones that were scared off. The income channels forming now exist entirely outside the reach of anyone who tried to interfere before. The opportunities ahead are calibrated for the version of you that exists after all of this, not the version that existed before it. And that version is significantly more capable in every way that counts. You came through this with capabilities you did not have before. The ability to move without announcing, the ability to stay grounded when circumstances go sideways, the ability to read genuine authenticity from performance quickly and accurately, the ability to build in silence and let outcomes speak when the timing is right. These are not minor upgrades. These are the specific capabilities required to sustain what is coming next, and they could not have been developed any other way. The pressure that was designed to break you produced the exact tools you need to operate at the next level. Something is also arriving that you were not specifically watching for. A collaboration, a recognition, a connection from someone credible who has been observing your work from a distance and has decided the right moment to reach out is now. Something that reframes how others see you publicly, without requiring you to explain a single thing about what you survived. Watch for it. It is closer than it appears. The person who architected this operation is going to sit with the full weight of what they set in motion, not because you confronted them directly, not because you went public with what you know, but because the official process already running will deliver accountability, documented, corroborated, and completely unavoidable. This is not going to look like a dramatic public confrontation or a viral expose. It is going to be much quieter than that, and it will be more complete, precisely because of that quietness. When accountability arrives through official channels, it does not ask for permission. It does not offer time to prepare a spin or rally support. It does not allow for the charm offensive or the strategic deflection that can work in public-facing contexts. It simply arrives with a file, with names, with a timeline, with evidence verified from multiple independent directions. What gets required in that moment is this: explain yourself to people who already know. That is a very specific and very complete kind of accountability, not the public version, where a narrative can still be shaped and sympathizers can still be rallied. The private, official version, where every word is logged, where every explanation is measured against what is already documented, where the ability to deflect is entirely removed because the people conducting the process already have the answers. That moment extends to every participant, not only the person at the top, every person who maintained a fake account, every person who coordinated an attack on your credibility, every person who sent fraudulent outreach designed to trap or steal from you, every person who sat in the group conversations, agreed to the plan, contributed ideas, and clicked send. The lesson is not reserved for one individual. It is distributed across every person who chose to participate, and it is being delivered with the patience and precision of something that waited until the full picture was documented before it moved. You did not have to perform that patience yourself. It was held on your behalf. You are standing in the most strategically protected position you have ever occupied, not because it was given to you, because you earned every inch of it by continuing to move when every mechanism was designed to make you stop, because you stayed in your integrity when every provocation was engineered to pull you out of it, because you kept building in silence when every attack was designed to make building feel impossible and pointless. Every hit that landed on you went into forging a version of you that operates on a completely different level than the one they originally targeted. Clearer, more discerning, more strategic, stronger in precisely the places that matter. The version of you standing at the entrance of this next season is genuinely unrecognizable to everyone who thought they had your limits figured out. The fire they lit has been burning, but fire does not honor the intentions of whoever strikes the match. Fire follows fuel, and what is burning now is everything they built in the dark: the scheming, the operation, the failing enterprise, the fractured inner circle, the extensive and thoroughly documented digital footprint they left behind while they were busy targeting you. Let it burn completely. You are not in that fire. You are standing on the other side of it, watching the clearing, knowing that what is being removed was always blocking the path to what was meant for you. The accounts are being settled. The evidence is in the right hands. The season is turning. Every single thing that was dammed up, every opportunity that hit a wall, Every income stream that was choked off, every door that was pushed shut, is breaking through now, not as a slow trickle, all at once. The overflow is already moving, and you, the one who was never supposed to still be standing, are not just standing. You are winning. You have already won. Take a moment to actually receive that. Not as a motivational phrase, as a factual description of where you are. The campaign that was built to remove you is dismantling. The business that was supposed to rise on the wreckage of yours is declining. The credibility that was weaponized against you is now being used to tell a different account, one that points directly back at the people who deployed it. Everything that was organized, coordinated, and sustained over a significant period of time for the singular purpose of stopping you has produced the opposite result. You are more defined, more capable, more connected to your actual purpose, and more strategically positioned than you were before any of this started. That is not an accident. That is what happens when someone with a real assignment gets tested and refuses to abandon the assignment. The testing becomes the proof, and the proof becomes the foundation. Go build the life that was always meant to be yours, because the people who tried to stop you just became the permanent, documented proof that you cannot be stopped. This moment belongs to you. It always did.